Grand Rising, Grand Rising, Grand Rising, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hey, Miss Dolores. Hello there. How are you? Hey, Evangelist. Hello there. How are you? Hey, Teresa. Hey, Robin. Hello there. I hope you guys are starting off your Friday. What's going on with my screen? Starting off your Friday nicely, as I definitely am. Happy Juneteenth. Y'all wouldn't have, if listen, did y'all see me make a post in Spaces a few minutes ago? Do y'all want me to tell y'all why? Y'all know my life is never normal, right? So I sat backstage for about a good 10 minutes wondering why I don't see Miss Dolores and why I don't see Evangelist and why I don't see my people. It was because I was sitting on the backstage of yesterday's show, all set up and everything, just waiting for the time to click by. And I was still on Wednesday. Okay. But that's how my day typically starts. It never starts right. Hey, Deja. Hello there. How are you? So, Juneteenth is definitely starting off Juneteenth-ish. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So, another crazy show. Um, and this is actually another case of the justice system not doing their job, CPS refusing to do their job, and not understand when a woman is not capable of having children, but also does not have any form of nurturing spirit in her soul. Okay. And this is just another one of those cases because this woman should have never had her children in her custody in the first place. Okay. So today we're going to get into a case that, of course, you're going to constantly think about. And it begins with a mother with a 6-month-old baby, a fatal night in 2019, and it doesn't end there. And it's because this same exact mother, by the name of Tenisha Echols is her name. She is now back in jail again. She's accused of leaving her 4 children, including a 4-month-old infant, alone for nearly 2 weeks, as if she didn't already lose a child in 2019 to death. So she was already put on probation for the death of her child. Okay. So this is her here. Okay. And she was already put on probation for this child. She was already still going through court proceedings for this here situation. And here we are with her back in jail again. All right. Now, how did this happen? Why wasn't she stopped earlier? We're going to walk through all of that today. Did you receive my letter? And I did. You are the first letter that I have received so far. Yes, 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 yes. So here's what exactly happened. So let's start with what the public knows now so far. Not just what the headlines say, but also the details when it comes to what the police had uncovered and these multiple different investigations in which she had in a span of 5 years. Okay? This isn't just about child neglect. This is not just about the baby's death. This is about a mother that was previously spared prison time. And then now we have a second wave of abuse that this woman has placed her children in. Okay? With the possibility to her to possibly kill again if she didn't get caught. So back on December the 27th of 2019, this happened out there in Indianapolis. A 6-month-old by the name of Dayria was her name. She had died under some suspicious circumstances while her mother, she was in her mother's care at the time. So the coroner had documented that the child had two skull fractures. There was also some form of harm to her eye, indicating that there was some pressure due to trauma, healing from rib fractures, burns on her arms and legs, and fractures to both of her tibias. The cause of death, of course, hey Yolanda, was homicide due to blunt force trauma. And I'm still trying to understand, where did they get probation from? Okay. I'm still trying to understand, what did they get house arrest from? But court records also did reveal that Dayrea had been born testing positive for cocaine. So she was brought into this world already in trouble. She was initially made a ward of DCFS, and she was initially in their custody, but then she was returned back to Echols in September of 2019, despite the case still being open. Crazy, right? I'm First Lady Savage. Hey, First Lady. Hey. You made it. I didn't even know that this, I didn't put it two together. Now I know and I'm going to remember. So they still gave her child back, her children back, even after she's currently in an investigation for the previous death for her baby. How this happened in the United States, I don't know. Now, on the day of Rhea's death, Echols had left with the father. She left the baby with the father, and she had to go submit a drug test because she had some already, court things going on. The father allegedly had called repeatedly and then says that the baby wasn't breathing. Echols tell him to give the baby a bath in order to wake her up. How does that make sense? I don't know. So she doesn't call 911. Her phone couldn't make outgoing calls, is what she told them. So during this time, the court documents also show that Echols went to the doctor's appointment, not for the baby, stopped at a tire shop, and got some food from McDonald's, as if her child wasn't in distress. So by the time help had arrived, it was too late. CPS decides, that's okay. We're just going to give you a little bit of house arrest. Keep a good eye on you, and we're going to hand you back your other kids. So in 2021, there was some charges that was then filed with Marion County Prosecutor's Office for neglect of a dependent resulting in death, neglect of a dependent resulting in serious bodily injury. Donisha, hey, love, finally caught alive. Hey, thank you for coming in, love. I appreciate it. Now, moving on to July 2023, she was able to cut a plea deal. How? I don't know. This whole entire case is a mess. This whole entire case gives me lazy investigators, lazy prosecutors, lazy CP. It just gives me everything lazy work. So Echols had then pled guilty only to a lesser charge of neglect causing serious bodily injury. And prosecutors also did ask for some prison time. And the judge had decided that she disagreed, where she was only sentenced to 2 years of home detention, 2 years probation, and she was given credit for 24 days, time served. No prison time at all. So DCS had then continued to have an ongoing involvement with her at this point. Yet there was no mentions made on removing her other children. Moving on to this year, July 9th, 2025, there was a 911 call from an 8-year-old. And this happened out there in Troy Avenue on the south side of Indianapolis. A grandmother had received a crying phone call from her 8-year-old granddaughter saying, "We've been home alone for days. I can't find mommy." So she calls the police. So the officers, they didn't come to the house around 9:30 p.m. In an apartment they found to be unlocked. And what they found was very disturbing. They found trash, half-eaten food everywhere, a bare mattress with no sheets, a 4-month-old asleep in the pack and play, and a 2-year-old with his head in the toilet. No adults were in sight. There were 4 children alone in these conditions by themselves, with the youngest being 4 months at that. Now, the children had told the police that Echols feeds them in the morning and then she disappears. The 8-year-old is left in charge for all of her siblings. And she tried to call Echols, but Echols didn't answer. So at around 10 p.m., Echols then comes back to the apartment as if nothing ever happened. She claims that she was only gone for 20 minutes to get some medicine. Police say that the timeline doesn't match what the kids and the grandmother had already told them. Now, in the interview that followed, Echols then makes several damning admissions. She says that she doesn't like dragging all of her kids around at one time. Well, you shouldn't have had them. How about that? If you don't like, you shouldn't have had them. You should have stopped at the one that you already killed the first time, if you want me to be honest. And you shouldn't have been able to continue having more. And if you decided to have more, i.e., when you had the 4-year-old, they should have snatched that one. They should have took the 4-year-old the moment that you birthed him. So In an interview, she also did admit to regularly leaving the children alone with her oldest child. And when asked, is it safe for the 8-year-old to care for the 4-month-old, she says, no. She also told the police and that her family had blocked her from contacting them because they disagreed with her sexuality. Interesting. That's interesting. So, if you were blocked, how did the children call? The 8-year-old had a phone? So they were in communication with the kids, but they wasn't in communication with you. Is that what you want us to believe? I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. Because in order for them to build a relationship, they're young enough to where in order for them to build a relationship with their grandmother, they will have to go through you. And for your child to be comfortable enough to call her grandmother, to tell her grandmother that she needs help, that lets us know that the comfort was made, which means she knew how to directly contact her grandma to get her some help for her siblings. And we also know that you were lying about that. They knew that you were lying about the 20 minutes because the child had already let them know that you've been gone for a while and she didn't know where you were. And you wasn't calling it, you wasn't answering the phone. You were gone long enough to where she had to reach out for help. Lying big time. Lying big time. If you don't like dragging your kids around, stop having them. I'm so tired of people's excuses of why they leave children behind and things of that nature. And they don't have time to do this and they don't have time to stop having them. Close your legs. That's all you have to. It's very simple. It's a very simple task. If you know that you are not in a mental position to where you want to take your kids around and, take care of your responsibilities and do what mothers do and do what fathers do, wear protection and stop having them. It's just simple. If you had time to run around the streets and leave them alone by themselves, you had time to be a mother. So that's an excuse because you did not want to prioritize being a mother, but you wanted to prioritize whatever it was that you were doing in the streets, i.e. drugs, possibly why your child was born with cocaine in her system. Where's the fathers? I have seen no mentions. So how do we get here in this situation again, though, is the biggest question here. How did CPS, a baby, die in 2019? A homicide is declared. Yet the mother was able to walk free, live a life, and still do the same thing over again. With multiple CPS cases against her and living in a dirty home, which lets us know that y'all wasn't checking in like y'all was supposed to. Y'all wasn't doing status checks. Now we're here in 2025, and she allegedly has abandoned her children, including a baby, another infant at that. With the child with its head in a toilet because he's thirsty, possibly is why he was doing that. So many people saw all the warning signs, from CPS to the judge that felt as though that she didn't need a sentence for a dead baby. Because I don't know what judge or what prosecutor, well, the prosecutor did their job because they did recommend some jail time, but I don't know how a judge sat with a robe on and felt as though that this woman didn't deserve time when you have the injuries in which this child had endured: 2 skull fractures, pressure of the eyes, which showed trauma, healing rib fractures, which lets us know that she was getting beat before this incident, burns to her arms and legs, fractures to both tibias, and a death of blunt force trauma. How did a judge sit in their position and decide that this woman didn't need time? And the excuse should not be, well, with the new policies that we have, we want to keep the children with their parent. No, not in these circumstances. There's an easy way to judge this. Is this mother doing whatever she can to take care and prioritize motherhood? Is this woman looking for jobs or even working? How are the children eating? Are they being fed? Are they getting an education? How does the home look? Those are the types of things that let you know. And I guarantee you, if you guys are doing your right checkups, you will be able to see that this woman was not doing that. Her house was disgusting. There was food everywhere. She was barely home. You had an 8-year-old taking care of 4 other children, including a newborn. So there is no way that you guys should have been able to look at this case and not make a stern decision that, one, this woman does not need her children in her possession. 2, she also needs to sit down and go to jail go to prison for a little bit, because apparently she don't understand motherhood, but she wants to keep birthing kids. She doesn't want the responsibility of having kids. She just wants to be able to have fun to have them and enjoy that moment. But when the moment's over, she don't want the responsibility thereafter, basically. Is what she likes to do. So all these excuses about keeping, children close to the family, in these times, it seems that you guys have a hard time gauging how to do that. That's what it's giving. She definitely don't deserve to be called no mother, because this is not a mother. And we say this all the time over here. It's easy to birth a child. That's one of the easiest things that you can ever think of doing. Unless physically you're unable to. But it's easy to have a child. But everybody does not have the character traits, the emotional traits to raise and nurture one. That's one of the biggest lies that was ever told to us when we were coming up, is that it's automatically going to come to you. When you have your baby, nurturing your baby is going to come easy. For some people, it never comes. And we need to face that. We have to keep saying that over and over again, so that we can get it into people's head that while you may think that this woman is in a position to raise her child because she birthed it, it doesn't mean that she has the functions to do so in a well manner. That's what we have to understand. Because we were close to a child's death in this situation. Let's just be honest. Because if there was a 4-month-old sitting in a pack and play, being raised by an 8-year-old, it was only a moments of time that it would have took for us to have another child's death. And her walking in the house as if, well, I was going to the store for 20 minutes. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Some people just never get it, and we have to accept that. We have to accept that. Everybody saw the signs that were here, from the family to the judge to the prosecution to the defense. Everyone saw the signs here, but nobody paid attention. And everybody had a chance to stop it, but nobody stopped anything. And once again, nobody continuously over the years seen this woman for exactly who she was, a negligent mother. Okay? Now, Echols, she did have her initial hearing on June the 13th, and the jury trial is scheduled for August the 21st of this year. The children are now in the custody of the grandmother, and the prosecutors are requesting a revocation of Echols' probation, of course. So no charges have been filed against the baby's father from the 2019 case. And the Indianapolis FOP president has called a formal investigation into a systematic failure in Marion County justice system. And when those documents drop, y'all know I'm going to get them, because I want to see what they look like. I want to see what y'all find in this probe, because that's what this is going to do. The probe is going to allow them to be able to tell us on how many cases y'all have failed on when it comes to CPS cases. This is why Toledo, Ohio just they literally just chose the chief of their task force for child protective services. And I'm one that believes that every state needs to have one. Every state, it should be a federal law, a federal policy that goes in place that every state must have a child protective services task force. I think that is a great idea what Toledo, Ohio is doing. And they are doing that after in the failed case of Kimani Lateef. I think every state needs that. And they'll basically be the overseer for every county in their state. Every county, every jurisdiction in their state, and they are the overseers of all these cases to ensure that the I's is crossed. The I's is dotted and the T's is crossed. That's what needs to happen. Now, there's a lot of questions that definitely needs to be answered in this case. Why did the court allow the plea deal to happen in the first case when it came down to her first baby that passed away? Because that was a complete drop of the ball. That was a complete neglect on the state's behalf. Because she was able to basically get away with murder scot-free. Who approved returning the baby to her while there was already a CPS case open? Darea wasn't supposed to be with her because she had already had previous cases with the other older children. So this child should have never been given to her when the baby was born with cocaine in its system, while the case is still open. Why did no one follow up on the living conditions for the surviving older children? Because that should have been getting done as well. Why? Because she has an open CPS case. There was supposed to be checkups to see the stat. She's a murderer. And what safeguards failed between 2019 and this arrest in 2025? There was a lot of safeguards that were missing. Follow-ups, psychiatric evaluations. They needed to ensure that that happens. Check-ins with the children, check in with the educational systems to see if they identified anything. There's a lot of things that was missed in this. The judicial standpoint of it, they missed it. Now, should this judge from the original case be held accountable for her sentencing of this girl? Absolutely. Because at some point we have to make an example out of judges that nobody is bigger than the program. And there is no excuse that this woman should have been able to walk free anywhere. She's supposed to have been serving a 20-year sentence somewhere. And I would love to know what kind of plea deal was so great to where a child can die with blunt force trauma injuries, broken ribs, and things of that nature, tibias and stuff. And she can cut a plea deal for neglect. That's past neglect. That's murder. That's outright murder, without a shadow of a doubt. She never should have had any child. She should have never. Every child that should have been in her, that was birthed in her custody, well, that was birthed after this child's death, should have been taken immediately. And the children that were already in her, that was already born, they should have been taken too. And no, hey, sugar, no other children should have been able to be in this woman's custody alone at all. Now, could they worked on like visitations for her? Sure. But at the same time, she shouldn't have been out of jail to even have visitation as an option. Hey, Mary, that shouldn't even been an option because you murdered your baby. So not only did the child's father for Daria not be held accountable, so who were y'all just going to let her walk scot-free, him and her? That's crazy. And never with a lick of time? With 24 days time served? What's the excuse? Prisons are over. It's too many people in prisons. Is that what the excuse is? Well, here we are. We're back again, and she's returning right to her proper residence. She's going to be coming right back to her proper residence where you guys should have kept her there in the first place. Her new address. So when we look at cases like this, I think that it's important that we also identify that CPS is, what are y'all anyways? Like at this point, what do we pay y'all for? Like what are we paying y'all for at this point? Are we just paying y'all to walk in people's houses? And because when I read over policies and things of that nature that y'all put in place for CPS, I see that y'all are more focused on keeping children with their parents. But I think that you guys are having a hard time understanding when they don't need to be with them. When there are multitudes of cases of abuse, children do not need to be with their parents. Now, if it's a woman who is struggling and she's on hard times, but she is still putting in the footwork, she is doing whatever she can to prove herself as wanting her children and, getting a job and getting therapy and, making sure her home is all together for her children. Those are the type of, mothers that we should fight to keep them with their children. But when it comes to these ones that don't even take a step to lift a finger or a foot to walk in the right direction, what are we giving children back to them for? They can't even take care of the responsibilities that are handed to them by the court of law. So, what makes you think they're going to take care of the responsibilities to the court of parenting? Because that's a court within itself. Because there's judgments of the public and there's judgment of the law. You have social norms that is acceptable when it comes to parenting and social norms that are not acceptable when it comes to parenting. There's two judgments in that. I'd be at work. I'm off today. Just so happen to be on Facebook. Amazing. Thank you so very much. So we have to really pay attention to y'all cities and states and judicial area DCFS and how they function. I did see Ms. Dolores has suggested that I do a deep dive and a deep investigation into CPS. That's a lot of work, Ms. Dolores. That's a lot of work. That's that's a lot to look at all the flaws of CPS and the statistics. I think I could do a nationwide one though. I can do that to go over the failures, the normal failures, and I think that will also help us as people to identify what to look for when it comes to abuse, and also the proper steps that CPS should be taking when it comes to abuse and when it comes to neglect. I think it'd be great for that. So I'm gonna look into that. Pay attention to CPS always. It's crazy. Yeah, I could possibly do a nationwide one from the federal scope, statistic wise, more so of a research and study. I can definitely look into that for sure. We possibly can get a show about that. Now, guys, don't forget, okay? The Royal Lockbox is due to return. The only letter that I have so far is Miss Dolores. For those of you who do not know what the Royal Lockbox is, the Royal Lockbox was created in an effort to, we talk about so many serious cases a lot, right? So it allows people to just vent. Mental health is at an all-time high, and a lot of people don't know who to talk to, who to run to, and they just want to be heard just for a second. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it was created, for me to allow people to just put their thoughts, whatever their issues are, in a box, and I give them advice. You can also remain anonymous if you would like, okay? When you do write the letters, all you do is put in the letter, Savvy, lock me in the box. That means that you will remain anonymous. And if you don't want to remain anonymous and you don't mind people knowing who you are in your story, you can just say, unlock the box at the top of your email so that I can know, if you want to remain anonymous or not. Okay. We do discuss anything. We've discussed the relationships, friendships. We've discussed marriage. We've discussed careers. We've discussed everything through the Royal Lockbox. So you can email the email right here, savageroyaltyent@gmail.com, in order for me to get your letter. Now, because my schedule is a little bit sticky due to I have vacation coming up, it's going to be at the end of each month, okay? I really want to try to make it a Saturday show because you guys have been requesting that. And so I feel like that the Royal Lockbox can give us a very good Saturday vibe while giving you guys some extra content as well once a month, okay? So for the letters that I received this month, if I receive enough to do for a one show this month, I will at the end of this month. If I don't, I'm going to push them to the middle of July because, as you guys know, I will be on vacation at the end of July. Okay. Now, after July, they will be at the end of each month for the Royal Lockbox. I'm going to collect everybody letters. I will read them online, and I will give you my thoughts of what you should do and give you a little bit of advice. While I do look young, guys, I got a lot of wise advice, and they can tell you that, okay? I can give you advice of your elder auntie, I promise. You'll think I've been on this earth for a long time, and I've only been on this earth for 39 years. So it's going to be a very wise type of advice, well thought out type of advice. and unbiased and no judgment as well. Okay. So feel free to get your letters in. Yeah, she she old in wisdom. I am old in wisdom, y'all. You know how they say people have an old soul? I have a old soul, is what many people say. So the type of advice I will give you is going to give you an old soul type of advice with some youthfulness to it at the same time. Okay. So just send your emails in, and we can do our real lockbox. I want to try to do it on a Saturday. I think it'd be a great show, great free show, no crime, just regular conversation, talks, and we get to know each other a little bit better that way too. You guys get to get in my head a little bit, on a personal note, to kind of get to know me too, um, a little bit more. The people on the big O side of things, they get to get me a little bit of transparency from me, because over here I only have an hour with you. Over here an hour. Over there I'm with them for about 2 to 3 hours per day. So it do gets a little bit personal. So I like to use that times for you guys to get to connect with me on a personal level too. Okay, Bigo, y'all don't have me today. Don't go looking for me. Okay, I will not be on Bigo today. I miss y'all though, but I will not be there. You going on vacation in July as well? Yeah, I'm going. I'm going on vacation. Going on a cruise. I will be posting content. There, y'all will be getting a lot of cruise content. Okay, a lot of cruise. But if you are on Spaces by Wix, you're going to get exclusive cruise content. Okay, that will not be posted on any other social media platform. It's going to be all exclusive stuff that is only right there on savageroyalty.com. Okay. Yes, no Bigo today. Alrighty, guys. You guys have a great, great Thursday. I will see you guys tomorrow on Friday. Bigo, you guys will have me tomorrow. Okay. Just stay tuned to the YouTube live tab for my show for tomorrow. It will pop up sometime today or early in the morning tomorrow, for what's up to come. All right. So just stay forward, stay looking out for that. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and thank you for tuning in to True Crime with Savage Royalty.